First off, if you're watching this video and you've lost someone that you love to suicide, I am truly sorry. Suicide brings out the most complex grief that anybody can go through, which is why that in September, here in Suicide Prevention Month, we have a candid and open discussion about suicide and how best to prevent it to stop other tragic deaths in the future. Let's talk about some of the facts surrounding suicide. There is one death by suicide every 11 minutes in the United States. Suicide is the second leading cause of death for those ages 10 through 14 and for those between the ages of 20 through 34. There has been a 36% increase in suicide deaths since the year 2000. The months of the year that have the most suicide deaths occur in the months of May and June. Here are the warning signs that someone is struggling with thoughts and feelings of suicide: loss of interest or motivation, social withdrawal, hopelessness, burdensomeness, which is the belief that people will be better off without me, changes in eating or sleeping, talking about wanting to die, feelings about guilt and shame, increased drug or alcohol use, as well as emotional and physical pain, and missing classes or work. When discussing suicide, we must use appropriate language. The most common mistake people make is that they use the words committed suicide. And commit implies that suicide is a sin or a crime, reinforcing the stigma that it's a selfish act and personal choice. Instead, we should use neutral phrasing like died by suicide in order to strip away shame and blame from such an act. Another phrase to be aware of is when using the term successful or unsuccessful suicide or completed or failed suicide. The notion of a successful suicide is inappropriate because it frames a very tragic outcome as an achievement or something positive. Instead, we should use the words like fatal suicidal behavior or non-fatal suicidal behavior or a fatal suicide attempt and a non-fatal suicide attempt. If you are talking to someone who mentions suicide, it is important to know if that person has passive suicidal thoughts or active suicidal thoughts. Passive suicidal thoughts occur when the person has lost the motivation to live but does not have a specific plan to end their life. For example, passive thoughts might sound like, I just wish I could sleep and not wake up, I wish I could just disappear, or I wish the world would just end tomorrow. When someone has active suicidal thoughts, that person not only has lost the motivation to live, but also has a plan to take their life. When continuing that discussion with that person, it is important to use the PMT approach. PMT stands for plan, means or method, and time frame. So with the plan, do they have a specific plan to die? With means, do they have the means or method to take their own life? And finally, time frame. Do they have a set time frame from when they intend to carry out their plan? One question in this approach naturally leads to the next. A no or a time frame far in the future can allow us to relax a bit, but it's always crucial to remain calm and take this conversation seriously. If someone has a plan, the means, and the time frame, then immediate action is required. To offer a personal perspective, I live with type 1 bipolar disorder, and those with bipolar disorder are 10 to 30 times more likely to die by suicide compared to the general population. And this may come as a surprise to some. However, I think about ending my life almost every month throughout the year. The only times where I am the most stable is happening in the summer, between the months of May and September. However, throughout every other month, I often think about suicide a couple of days throughout the month. So, the topic of suicide is a very difficult topic to breach, but it is also very necessary. And we need to have these conversations to those that we love, to others out there in the community, because the more that we can talk about such a tough subject, the more awareness it will bring to the situation, and the more knowledge that we'll have to offer others, caring and compassion for those who are experiencing suicidal thoughts.